For most of my life, I thought pride was the same thing as honor. My father banished me, scarred me, and told me I could only return if I captured the Avatar. So I chased him across the world because admitting I was wrong felt impossible. If I stopped, then I'd have to admit that everything I suffered for, everything I sacrificed, had been for nothing. Even when I started questioning the Fire Nation, I kept going. Pride made turning back feel worse than continuing down a path I knew was wrong.
At least you eventually recognized it. There was a time when I believed admitting another warrior was superior to me would destroy everything I was. I was born a prince, an elite. Kakarot was a low-class Saiyan who should never have stood above me. And yet he did. Again and again. So I chased him much as you chased your avatar. Every defeat became something I had to erase. Every victory of his felt like an insult to my very existence. It became so intolerable that I willingly accepted Babidi's power just to reclaim the version of myself I thought I had lost.
The ruthless version.
The uncomplicated version. By then I had a wife, a son, a home. I had begun caring about people, and some part of me mistook that for weakness. I thought if I could become the cold-blooded warrior I once was, I would finally surpass Kakarot. Instead, I nearly destroyed everything that actually mattered to me. That is the danger of pride. It convinces you that protecting your image is the same thing as protecting yourself.
I understand that. When I finally went home, I had everything I thought I wanted. My father welcomed me back. My honor was supposedly restored, and I was miserable. That was when I realized I'd spent years trying to become someone else's idea of who I should be. I could keep my pride and stay in the palace, or admit that my uncle had been right, that my father was wrong, and that I had helped the wrong side. Leaving meant admitting I had wasted years of my life, but staying would have meant wasting the rest of it.
Then leaving was not surrender. People confuse humility with weakness. They believe letting go of pride means bowing your head and accepting defeat. Nonsense. Sometimes pride should be abandoned. Other times, it should be refined. I no longer need to pretend Kakarot has not surpassed me. I admitted that long ago. It did not diminish me as I once feared it would. If anything, it freed me. When your entire sense of worth depends on standing above everyone else, one stronger person can destroy you. That is not strength. That is insecurity dressed as arrogance.
My father was like that. He needed everyone beneath him, even his own family. For a long time, I thought standing up to him meant defeating him. But when I finally confronted him, I didn't need to win an Agni Kai. I just needed to tell him the truth. Then I walked away. That may have been the first time in my life I understood what honor actually was.
Honor that must be granted by another person is worthless. That was your mistake, and mine. You wanted your father to declare you worthy. I wanted victory over Kakarot to prove I was worthy. Neither of us understood that no victory can give you something you refuse to recognize in yourself.
My uncle tried to teach me that for years. I hurt him badly before I finally understood. When I found him again, I had an entire apology prepared. Excuses, explanations. I thought he would be furious. Instead, he forgave me before I could even finish. That was almost harder to face, because I couldn't defend myself anymore. I just had to admit I had been wrong.
There are few things more painful to a proud man than receiving mercy he knows he has not earned. But accepting it requires strength too. I have learned that pride becomes poison when it prevents you from facing reality. When you know you were wrong, but refuse to admit it. When someone you love is suffering because you are too stubborn to apologize. When you continue down a foolish path only because turning around would embarrass you. That is not pride. That is cowardice wearing armor.
Then maybe the question isn't whether pride is good or bad. It's what your pride is protecting. If it protects your ego, your reputation, or your need to always be right, maybe you should let it go. But if it protects your principles, the people you love, or the person you've worked to become,
then hold on to it. I am still proud. I always will be. I am Vegeta, Prince of all Saiyans. But pride should remind you who you are. It should never prevent you from becoming someone better.
I think my uncle would agree with you.
Your uncle sounds irritating.
You'd like him.
Don't push your luck.